Hello, my name is Rachel and I'm here today to do my wrap up. So I read a total of 8 books in March, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. They were okay. I read some really good stuff, a good month for graphic novels, and some not so good stuff. So yeah, the first thing I'm going to just run through is the reading for the Fempowerathon because I've already done my Fempowerathon wrap up on my channel, so I'm just going to quickly mention them. And if you would like more details about these books, I will leave a link in the description box to the video where I reviewed them anyway. So I'm going to go in order of how I rated these ones. So the first one is One by Sarah Crossan, and I gave this 4 stars. The next one is Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. I gave this 4.5 stars, but I picked it back off my shelf to do this wrap up, and I was looking at it thinking, maybe this should have been 5. Like, I really, really enjoyed this graphic novel. So yeah, it's sitting at a 4.5 at the moment, but I feel like I will revisit it later on in the year and it might change to a 5 because this is absolutely fantastic. And then the other one was Dear Rituale, or A Feminist Manifesto and 15 Suggestions by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This was absolutely fantastic. Gave this 5 out of 5 stars, just like I gave the other little bite-sized feminism book, We Should All Be Feminists by Adichie as well. So yeah, definitely recommend this one. So one of the books that I mentioned for the Fempowerathon that I had not yet finished was The Sun Is Also a Star. I did finish that afterwards, and I think it's my lowest rating for the month. I gave this 2 stars. I'm sad that I gave it 2 stars, but I just can't really rationalise giving it any higher. This is about 2 people who meet on one day, and the whole book all takes place on one day, pretty much. And basically, Natasha and Daniel fall in love. There's this whirlwind romance, and she is getting deported at the end of the day back to Jamaica. And yeah, that's it. They are very opposite type people. She is very rational. He's very what's the word, like wistful, and he believes in fate and destiny and all that sort of stuff, and she really doesn't, and it's just about their kind of relationship. Things I really enjoyed in this book were the culture references that were in it. I particularly enjoyed, if you watched my wrap up for like either January or February, you will know that I read The Good Immigrant and talked about how I really liked one of the essays in there. I think it was actually Nikesh Shukla's essay where he was talking about cultural appropriation and taking words that are from different cultures and religions and using them as the way like you think they should be used. And I really liked in this book that there were these little sections like this. So there's one on eerie, which is this word, like she says it's a Rastafarian word, and that you would hear it often if you were in Jamaica, and that it kind of has been culturally appropriated and people say it to her a lot. And there's little references like that. I love the references to Korea and to Norbang, I think it was, for the karaoke stuff. It was just really, really cool. However, there was some stuff I hated in this book. I hated how angsty it was. I hated how these people were meant to be so in love after a day. I'm sorry, maybe I am just a pessimist, but that's not a thing for me. And I hate the ending. Wasn't that fond. Gave it 2 stars. Yeah, so I read that one. So then the next book that I read this month was Citizen, an American Lyric by Claudia Rankine. Unfortunately, I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. I was hoping to give it like 4 or 5. I thought it was going to be amazing, and parts of it were, but parts of it just weren't really for me. So it's kind of a mixture of poetry and essay format, and it's like a weird mismatch, but it goes together. and she is talking about racism. She's quite angry about racism in this book, and about judging people and all that sort of stuff. And there was some stuff that really stands out to me, like the essay on Serena Williams. I think it was Serena. I thought was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed reading that. Um, there was an essay where it was talking about someone getting pulled over, and he was saying like there was this verse that kept getting repeated, and still you are not the guy, and still you fit the description, because there is only one guy who is always the guy fitting the description. And I just thought that was like so fitting and so perfect for describing like people being judged and stuff. Um, yeah, and I liked the images that were put throughout it as well. Like this one says, "I do not always feel coloured. I do not always feel coloured. I do not always feel coloured." And then on the other side it says, "I feel most coloured when I am thrown against a sharp white background." Um, yeah, I just thought this was really, really cutting. But yeah, there were bits that they just didn't reach me. Bits about football. I thought the whole thing was quite angry, which I understand why it is angry. I really, really do. But I find things like this, where you can sense an anger, but she is putting forward ideas and ways to try and combat sexism and racism at times, and like make the world better. Whereas in this one, I felt like it was just anger and not really offering any kind of solution. And it's hard because like you have every right to be angry, and you shouldn't have to offer a solution, because people should not be racist. But you know, we just don't live in that society, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't know. I really, really wanted to love this, but it was okay. So the next book I gave 3 stars, and it is Cheerful Weather for the Wedding by Julia Strachey. This is a Persephone edition, which, just before I even get into this book, these are amazing. They have the most beautiful cover. Well, this is in the Persephone Classics range, which are beautiful, and yeah, they're just fantastic. The paper quality is amazing, like really good paper, and it's just set out really nicely, and yeah, it's just really beautifully published with amazing end papers and French flaps, and yeah, just bigging up this publisher definitely. But yeah, this book is about, it all takes place on one day, and it is a wedding, and basically this woman is going to marry someone, and it's all the kind of little dramas that go on at a wedding. But I found this novella was very like the little dramas that go on in life and stuff like that. So I was very comfortable in reading it. Like I wasn't expecting anything out of the ordinary or surprising. I thought, oh, it's going to be predictable, but it's going to be enjoyable in its predictability, if you get what I mean. Um, so there was this shock that just came right out of left field for me, and it felt like a massive twist. And I was literally reading it like, oh my god, and it was just ridiculous because it wasn't. I don't know. I just felt like the most shocking thing ever because like I was so comfortable, because it felt like Jane Austen or something, and like it's like a place to get comfy, sort of thing. So yeah, I was surprised by this. But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Really, really good. The writing style is quite beautiful. There's a bit which says, "Today, with the sun shining through its bare branches, this seemed to be not trees at all, but merely folds of something diaphanous, floating along the surface of the hillside, a flock of brown vapours, here dark, there light, lit up in the sunshine." So yeah, as you can see, it's beautifully written. And I just really, really enjoyed this. I thought it was really, really good. Then I gave 4 stars to the next book, because it's the first book that I've read on this topic, and I loved reading about it, the concept and stuff. But I think if I reread this, and I think if I had read more books on the subject, this would actually get quite a low rating because it did often repeat itself, and I just didn't think it was fantastically formatted. However, I did give it 4 stars because I was like caught up in the whole thing of it. And it is The Little Book of Hugo, The Danish Way to Live Well by Make Viking. I don't know. This is basically just a book about Hugo and explaining what Hugo is and some Hugo recipes and just, oh my god, there's some amazing pictures in here, just so beautiful. Oh, there's this recipe that looks amazing. I tabbed that, like, need to get on that. Yeah, there's like a Hugo dictionary, so there's loads of words in Danish, and like explaining what they mean and stuff like that, which I just thought was really good. But yeah, like I said, it was very, very repetitive, and I think if I read more books on the subject, that this definitely wouldn't be up there as my favourite. But because this is the first book and I really like the idea of Hugo and comfiness and all that sort of stuff, yeah, I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. And then the last book that I read this month was one of my favourite books by far, of the year actually. One of my favourite graphic novels that I've read so far. So yeah, like I said, strong graphic novel month with the Fun Home as well. And it was The Complete Mouse by Art Spiegelman. So this was published in 2 separate volumes, but this is like the whole thing. Mouse is basically the story of Art Spiegelman's father and his life, and he lived through German occupation, and then he went to work camps, and then he lived in ghettos, and he went to extermination camps. I think he went to Auschwitz, and then he went to Dachau afterwards. I'm pretty sure he got walked back to Dachau. And yeah, it's just the story of his life, and this was phenomenal. Before I read it, I didn't know how I was going to take it because I just thought, I don't know how well the comic style is going to go with something so atrocious from history, but it actually worked perfectly. This is just absolutely amazing. The art is really good and understated, and I think it's good that he chose to make people animals so that it kind of made the really gory parts a little bit less gory, and it's black and white, so there's not as much detail in that, which I think was a good choice. I loved how human he made everyone in this. Spiegelman did not shy away from explaining who his dad was, even if sometimes that was negative. He doesn't shy away from himself, his own feelings. He is very honest about everything, really, and I think it just comes across really, really, really well. Yeah, I absolutely adored this. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Would read anything else that Art Spiegelman did, although I'm not sure he has done anything else. Yeah, I'm definitely going to try and pick up some more non-fiction graphic novels because this was fantastic. Yeah, they are all the books that I have read in March. I am quite happy with it, I think. Not so good on the novel front, but in terms of non-fiction and graphic novels, it was quite good. So yeah, I can't complain. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!